I'm Peter Vaughan, and on this rather murky morning I'm at the Warwick Racecourse Caravan and Motorhome Club site with a brand of motorhome that's not been seen in the UK since 2009. But now Elnagh from Italy and part of the huge Trigano group is back here, back through Marquis Leisure. And why is it back? Well, it's all down to price. Like the Panama camper vans that we reviewed recently, this is a budget motorhome. So, how much? From $67,995. And there will be 4 models in this Elnagh Baron range. This 530 model, which has a rear lounge. Then there's a 560 with a rear transverse double bed over a garage, the 573 with rear single beds over a garage, and the 579 with an island bed. This and the 560, as I say, a 67,995. If you want the longer single beds or island bed vans, they're both slightly dearer at 69,995. And then, well, they all come as standard, as you'd probably expect, with a manual gearbox and the 140 horsepower engine. If you want to upgrade to an automatic, that adds quite considerably to the price, I'm afraid, another £4,000. The only other item to consider is the Adventure Pack, and I suspect there'll be deals on that at the NEC show. The Adventure Pack includes radio with Apple CarPlay, a solar panel, rear parking sensors, TV with aerial and the TV bracket, and a motorhome starter pack. Now the starter pack includes all the things you'll need if you've never had a motorhome before, so things like mains hookup lead, levelling blocks, anti-slip grip track, toilet chemical, toilet rolls, freshwater hose, gas spanner, 6 kilogram Cala cylinder, fire extinguisher, all that sort of stuff, and so you'll be ready to set off on your motorhoming adventures. Now, time for some statistics. Well, this 530 model is 6.59 metres long, it's 2.85 metres high, and a typical coach built width of 2.35 metres. It's on a 3.5 tonne chassis so that anyone can drive it, although you can upplate this to 3,650. You probably won't need to because the standard payload is 590 kilos, although go for the automatic and you'll need to reduce that figure by 48 kilos. On the base vehicle front, well, it looks sort of familiar but at the same time new, because this is the new face of the Peugeot Boxer. I think it's considerably prettier than the latest Fiat Ducato, which has those controversial slits in the bumper unit. So, new Peugeot Boxer, 140 horsepower engine as standard, and that now is the same power unit as the Citroën or the Fiat equivalents. Again, with the automatic gearbox or the manual gearbox, they are the same transmissions as you get in a Fiat. So here we've got the 8-speed automatic gearbox option. And you've also got this rather nice new look for the Peugeot Lion, going back to their sort of 1950s style, much more heritage to the logo, I think. Bumper isn't painted because, of course, this is an entry-level van, and you don't get alloy wheels, you get wheel trims. But when you look up over the cab, they haven't saved money everywhere. You do get a big opening over cab sunroof. If we take a look along the offside, another surprise is these framed habitation windows. I wouldn't have expected those at this price point. Fresh water filler is here, and it's an inboard tank, 100 litres. The waste tank is underslung, that's 100 litres again, and you've got this nice simple T-handle for emptying. Then the toilet servicing hatch, of course, and your gas locker, although it is quite high, so, well, you'll need to eat your spinach before changing cylinders. And then You've got garage locker doors. Well, I hesitate perhaps to call it a garage because it's not high enough to get bikes in, but you've got loading doors on either side under the rear lounge. At the back there is a moulding for a reversing camera, but of course that's not included in the spec at this price, and that's the one thing I would want to add onto this vehicle so that you don't bump this, well, really quite attractive back panel for what is an entry-level motorhome. And I like the fact that you've got, not only you've got this two-tone design to the rear bumper, but it looks like this top section, the darker grey, is completely separate from the silver one below. So if you just bump that rear corner, well, you might be able to get away with just replacing this section and not the whole thing with the lights. So that's a little bit of a plus. Back to your storage, and again you've got a door on this side as well, clips open, and size, well, it's a maximum of 55 centimetres high in here, and where it goes through the middle of the vehicle under the rear lounge, it's 56 centimetres wide. That's enough to get a decent size outdoor chair in there. You've also got lashing points in there, a light at this end, and a main socket. And now that the sun's come out, well, I can enjoy it. Oh, you want to know about the rest of the van as well, do you? Some people. Well, I should tell you that it's a full GRP body, including a 33mm thick hail resistant roof and fiberglass underneath the van to protect the floor, particularly from stuff being thrown up on the road. Inside this hatch is your 95 amp hour Leisure battery, mains hook up of course, and then your habitation door. One thing that really surprised me at this price point, it's attached to the vehicle's central locking, and it's quite a smart door too, with a fly screen, a bin, and no need for an external step because you've got two internal steps. Oh, there's even an awning light too. Two final things to note before we go inside. One, of course, the vehicle is fully NCC approved, National Caravan Council, but on the negative side, you don't get a spare wheel, just a fix and go kit. Inside, it's the rear lounge that I want to show you first, because this is the reason for choosing the 530 model. Remember, I described this as the rear lounge model in the range. Well, you still have got seating up front to give you your 4 travel seats. But back here, well, this is the USP of this layout, and doesn't it feel spacious for what is really a very compact motorhome? Just 6.59 metres long, remember. That's just 23 centimetres longer than a Fiat or Peugeot extra long panel van. You've got your windows all around, and if you want privacy, you have your Roman blinds. If you want views out, well, that's easy enough to achieve too. Settee is longer on this side, but there's just about room to put your feet up over there, as long as you're not much taller than me, sort of 5'10". Equally, you could sit and face this way across the vehicle. There's plenty of room for 2 or 3 people to stretch out here. And if you want to dine back here, well, there's room at least for 4. This is the table in its sort of coffee table position, but if you want to unfold it, then it becomes a full-size dining table. Still got the ability to move it around to get in and out. Might be a little bit tight over there, but still, it's quite a firm table for one of this size on a single leg. And then lighting, well, you've got one light in the underside of the drop down bed above, and I like this upholstered ceiling above you, and then these strip lights under the top lockers. With the bed stowed, you've still got plenty of headroom here too, and well, I can see this being a very appealing lounge area. The upholstery is this mix of sort of faux leather, vinyl if you like, and then this fabric section, the blue sort of turquoisey bit through the middle. I quite like it. I think it's quite practical and gives a bit of colour too. And then the cushions don't sit against the wall of the van. You've got these vent panels at the side too. Another sort of detail that you might not expect at the price point. And despite including a drop down bed, these top lockers are a good size. And then there's more storage underneath the seats, which you can get at by removing the cushions. Under here, under this corner, is the boiler. Here at the back, you can get access into your garage area. And over there, there's a little trapdoor into more storage. And before we move to the front lounge, well, there is somewhere for telly addicts. You've got room for your TV or laptop there. 12 volt, 240 volt and USB sockets provided, a little shelf area and useful storage underneath. So up front, it's a typically continental half dinette style lounge. Swivel cab seats, and although the half dinette bench has the same upholstery as in the rear, for some reason the cab seats are upholstered again in faux leather, but this much less practical sort of off-white. I wish they'd just stuck with the grey. The table is quite large. It does have the advantage of this single handle to operate it and move it around, and it does move quite a bit, but although there's Isofix on that rear seat, depending how tall the driver is and where the table is, you really will struggle to get child seats in there, especially anyone with really little children and the rear facing seats. Pity the table doesn't either remove or fold or something to get it more out of the way, or maybe just a smaller table. Cab seats, well, the cab floor is a little higher, but you've got this sort of ledge to put your feet on, so that's not an issue. Loads of daylight from the big over cab sunroof above, and then artificial lighting is similar to at the rear. So you've got this upholstered ceiling, again a drop down bed at the front with the central lamp there, and then a strip light under the top locker. Your fresh water tank is inboard, and that's under the travel seat there. If you have older kids travelling with you, then they'll be pleased to see a couple of USB ports here. And then finally, looking at the over cab area, well, there really isn't any storage apart from a shelf at the front, which just happens to make ideal storage for the silver screens that provide blackout in the cab. Kitchen, of course, is just to the rear of the habitation door, and it's got this nice bit of illumination here, matched to the one on the end of the half dinette bench. Little details that perhaps, well, when they're keeping the price down, you wouldn't expect. Also, looking above the door, that's your Truma control panel, and your main vehicle control panel is very simple, but your Truma control panel, worth noting again that it's a Combi 6E, so the more powerful combi boiler and gas and electric. Again, they don't seem to have saved the pennies there. Your hob is just a 2-burner, but down here you have got a Thetford duplex oven and grill, combined oven and grill. What you might wish for is some sort of worktop extension here, some sort of folding flap. Well, you've got a grab handle and a magazine pocket instead. Storage, well, there's not much room in the little cupboard under the oven because you've got access to vehicle electrics in there. Another cupboard alongside with the gas taps in, but up here you have a 2-level drawer, cutlery at the top, although no recesses or holders for the utensils. So twin level soft closing drawer, which is quite nice. No cover for the sink, so you're a bit short of worktop here. You're going to have to use the table for preparation space. Nice duotone top locker, and again good size space, although you will need to be quite tall to see what's on the top shelf. And then your fridge, well, look at that. It is a good size fridge, isn't it? 142 litres, and again, not penny pinching. It is automatic energy selection, so you can just switch on and it will decide gas, 12 volt or 230 volt. Bottle drawer at the bottom, so plenty of room for family food. And then opposite the galley, you've got your ablution space, and it's surprisingly generous in here. No shortage of legroom on the swivel cassette toilet. And you've got all the essentials. You've got somewhere to hang your towel, you've got a bit of storage in the top locker, you've got a little shelf, another shelf behind me here. There's one or two things that are a bit odd, like the toilet roll holder down near the floor, and the height of this wash basin. Well, if you've got little ones, they won't need one of those kiddie steps to reach the wash basin and wash their hands. A good sized mirror, little roof vent above, so you've got ventilation covered, decent lighting. Don't tread on the edge of the duckboard because it can tip up a little bit, but if you put your feet more centrally, well, you just get used to that. It's not an issue actually in real use. Shower doors, no curtain in here, so just remove that duckboard, and then it's a good size shower with 2 outlets in the shower tray, and no problem with water going away. These shower doors will rattle on the road though. There's a strap to hold them, but it just doesn't hold them tight. Much better is the fact that when you undo that strap and unfold the doors, well, it's a good sized shower cubicle. I used this morning. It's plenty big enough, and your tap from the wash basin pulls out, that becomes your shower head, and it's got a spray function as well as the normal jet. So a decent power of water pressure too, so a really good shower actually, and you've got decent water capacities as well. And then next to the washroom is your wardrobe. It's high because of course it's sitting on top of the gas locker, and the drop down bed does limit access in terms of how far the door opens, but it is quite a reasonable size, jacket length. Yeah, should be okay. And now, before we show you the nighttime facilities, let's go for a drive. So, driving the Elnagh, well, 140 horsepower engine seems adequate. This one's only got a couple hundred miles on the clock, so perhaps a little unfair to judge, but it was competent. It would do 70 on the motorway okay on the way here. You'll notice already that there's quite a lot of rattles from the living area, and this is a pretty awful bit of road. Nice Ferrari. Pretty awful bit of road, but yeah, there are a lot of rattles. Sadly, that's not that unusual with a coach-built motorhome, especially with a sort of affordably priced one. But the big news, well, this of course is the new, in inverted commas, Peugeot Boxer. How new is it? Well, not really that new. look at the dashboard, it's all very, very familiar. Very plasticky too. Yeah, there's a new steering wheel with that new Peugeot badge. But the big thing is that at last, and I can't think how many years, how many decades we've been waiting for a Peugeot Boxer with an automatic gearbox, and now here at last is a Peugeot Boxer automatic. Not only that, but this is the new 8-speed automatic, not the 9-speed. That's gone, both in the Fiat. It never was in the Peugeot. So the 9-speed's gone. It's a new 8-speed automatic, which Fiat say on the Ducato is better for CO2. It's more responsive. We're hearing rumours too that they had a few reliability wobbles with the 9-speed, so this is the new 8-speed box. Yeah, it's a £4,000 option, so if you don't need to have an automatic, well, maybe you'll think twice. You'll notice there we've got start and stop as standard. We also got traction plus and hill descent control. We've got cab air conditioning, cruise control. But what haven't we got? Well, we've got a great big hole in the dashboard, well, a double hole actually, where you'd normally have a radio. Now, I could sing to you, "Oh, what a beautiful morning." No, I won't. I promise I won't do any more. Don't give up the day job, they say, Vaughan. Hopefully the rattles will have covered some of my singing. So if you buy one of these, budget for either that adventure pack, which I now understand will be included free at the NEC show if you're going to the NEC and buy one there. I'm not sure of the price after that, but if we find out, we'll post that up on the screen. So if you get the adventure pack, that will give you a radio. If not, budget for a radio, budget for the reversing camera. But really everything else that you need is here, and the most important thing is the air conditioning, especially as it's a lovely warm sunny day. So that's driving the new Peugeot, and yes, the 8-speed automatic gearbox is as smooth, as comfortable and as easy as you'd want it to be. And while I've got the driver's seat in driving mode, let's show you the restricted space in the rear passenger seat. Well, it's okay for me, as long as I don't have too many more pies. But what about bedtime? Well, the first bed to show you is this downstairs single bed, and for that we need an extra panel and an extra cushion stored in the garage. So this panel slots in under the sofa cushions. There are lugs to locate it, which aren't necessarily all that easy to find. Once you've got it in place, just slot in the extra cushion, and then you have a transverse single bed. And if you take off these side and end cushions, it measures 2.16 metres long by 90 centimetres wide. That's 7'1" by 2'11.5". Oh, plenty of room for a basketball player. Well, that's bed number one. Bed number two is even easier because, well, you just press a button. No need to move the table or any cushions. But you do need a ladder. Once up here, there are a couple of reading lights. As you can see, You can leave your duvet in situ. Headroom is a little bit tight. You've got a roof vent close by, and a shelf across the back wall for any knickknacks. Bed size, well, it is 1.89 metres by 1.31 metres at this end, 1.13 at that end. That's 6 foot 2.5 by 4 foot 3.5, narrowing to 3 foot 8. Why, I think you'll be asking, doesn't this drop down bed come down lower, especially because the channels that it runs in are clearly long enough for it to come much, much lower. Well, that, I'm afraid, is down to NCC rules and the fact that you have to have 500mm headroom in each bed. There's a little more than that under these cupboards, but not a great deal more. However, Marquis tells me that if a customer requests it and they're not going to use this downstairs bed, then that bed, the drop down bed, can be adjusted to come down lower, and that to me would make this motorhome so much more appealing. Forget it as a 4-berth, forget this downstairs bed. It's a 3-berth van then, with a bed that is a lot more accessible and with a lot more headroom. You'll have noticed the flat blinds on all the side windows, and there are silver screens around the cab. And then the front bed isn't some fiddly contraption made out of seats, but another drop down. It does come down over the door, so practice your limbo dancing if you want to get out to go to the pub. This one's just a single bed. There's a spot lamp at the head of the bed, more little recesses for your magazines and so on. And this bed, which has nets to stop kiddies falling out, well, this one is 1.89 metres by 82 centimetres wide. That's 6 foot 2.5 by 2 foot 8. So the Elnagh Baron 530, a fairly compact motorhome to have twin lounges. But actually it feels remarkably spacious, perhaps because it does have twin lounges and, well, a lot of daylight coming into the vehicle too. The kitchen, well, the compromise there is a lack of worktop, but at least the table's not too far away. The washroom, yeah, that works really quite well. I love the shower, but why is that wash basin so low? I don't get that. Front dinette provides you with your rear travel seats. It's a secondary seating area on site. I just wish the table wasn't so dominant in that space. And if you are going to carry rear passengers, especially if they're youngsters in child seats, you will need to check that out carefully to make sure those child seats will actually fit. But my biggest concern with this vehicle was the drop-down bed. It's a nice, comfortable bed. It's a decent size. A firm mattress, but that's okay with me. But it just didn't come down far enough. Now we've found that you can solve that through Marquis as long as you don't need this downstairs bed. And really that makes it a great little motorhome for in my book, because, well, just think of that price. 67,995 as a manual, 71,995 as an automatic, and there aren't too many competitors at that sort of level these days. I expected it to be a lot more basic, but you even get a heated wastewater tank. You get the oven, you get Combi 6E heating. Yeah, it's got everything you really need. The only things that you don't get are the radio and the reversing camera. Well, soon add those, couldn't you? Hope you've enjoyed this latest motorhome review. See this and other new models at the NEC, but please don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support is very much appreciated. Thanks for watching.